This is Justice, and welcome to another Voice of JST. And today, we're here to talk about 2017. And no, for not all the other reasons people want to talk about 2017, like politics or whatever. We're here to talk about, of course, gaming. And in my case, we're going to talk about my channel. Now, in 2017, it's yet another awesome year for gaming. It's going to be an awesome year of single player games like Horizon Zero Dawn and Nier Automata, which I hope are going to be good. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be great, but they look good so far. It's going to be an awesome year for multiplayer games. I'm personally excited for quite a few games on both Xbox One and PS4, and hopefully some PC games too. So it's just another great year for gaming overall. And that actually brings me to my topic today, and that is moving on, as it were. Now, when I say moving on, I don't mean in the sense like I'm moving on to other things. I'm not gonna stop doing YouTube or any of that stuff. I mean, like, in all honesty, I mean, I say it, and I don't say that in the derogatory and at times combative way people are saying, like, screw SF5, I'm done. Like, here's the thing. When I say I want to play Guilty Gear more, I mean it. Like, even now, I'm practicing SF5 because I'm going to an event tomorrow, but when I say I want to, play Guilty Gear more, I mean that. I don't mean that in a FSF5 way. I mean that in a I actually enjoy that game more and I want to get more into it. And quite frankly, the biggest game I'm excited for this year is not the biggest game, but like the biggest fighting game I'm excited for this year is Tekken 7. Injustice 2 looks really cool, but I think I want to see a bit more. The alpha so far looks alright, but I think I'm not quite convinced yet, but I'm definitely still going to get the game either way. But Tekken 7, I mean, we all know. We've been looking at that game for like over probably 2 years now, maybe more. It was just like the same with Tekken 6 and Tag 2. It has a long arcade run. Dare I say a longer arcade run than anime games? And that's saying something. Because anime games are usually in arcades for like a year and a bit. But Tekken 7's been in arcades. Well, at least original Tekken 7 was in arcades for probably a year and a bit. And then Tekken 7 Faded Retribution, which is the update, that was in arcades for a while too. And honestly, I want to get into Tekken 7. The truth about Tekken 7 for me is the fact that I've always played Tekken, like as I was younger. Like I've never really been great at Tekken. I've been good at Tekken, but it's one of those things where I've definitely always wanted to be good at Tekken. And I would say that the first good Tekken game the first Tekken game I was good at, so to speak, was probably Tekken 5. And I really liked that game. That game was amazing. I think that was the game that really sort of cemented my enjoyment of Tekken. Because that game just had fantastic music, amazing mechanics. Like, just, it was such a great game overall, in all honesty. So, quite frankly, I am very excited for Tekken 7 to come out. Because it just looks so good. It's like, once again, this isn't like, oh, a knock on SF5, or whatever. It's not me trying to use this as a battering ram against SF5. Like, genuinely, Tekken 7 looks awesome. Like, the graphics are fantastic. Easily the best 3D graphics to date. Like, before that, I'd honestly say the winner of that would easily be DOA 5 on current gen. Like KI, I think looks amazing, but KI looks amazing in a different way. Obviously, that game's 3D, but when I say 3D, I mean actual like 3D movement, not just 3D graphics per se. I probably should have clarified. But that said, Tekken 7 is still the best current 3D graphics for a fighting game, in my opinion. Like the character models are fantastic, the stages are phenomenal, the music is really good. And I was watching some gameplay of Lars, obviously my main. Well, it's funny because I used to main Lee, but as like I mained Lee since Tekken 4 and then played Jin as well, obviously. And Lee was part of the reason I really got into Tekken 5, played Lee a ton in 6, and obviously my team in Tag 2, well, I keep saying obviously, but for those of you who know who watch my videos, my team in Tekken Tag 2 was Lee Lars. And I'll still play Lee because he is in Tekken 7, but I feel like as time's gone on, I've grown to like Lars more, particularly just overall, but also thanks to Street Fighter Cross Tekken, as I'm sure many of my YouTube viewers are aware. So definitely I want to main Lars. And when I got to play Tekken 7 at the London Comic Con in October of 2016, I played Lars, and you have no idea the satisfying feeling of like seeing this game, sitting down, and just remembering all of his stuff. Not like his combos or anything crazy like that, since I wasn't sure the combo systems changed, but just knowing his base moves and just playing just this solid game with people at the event, and that was just really fun. And honestly, and it's not just because it's offline. I've always enjoyed Tekken overall. I played a decent amount of Tekken 6s online, and I played a decent amount of Tekken Tag 2s online. Obviously, you don't see there's more Tekken 6 on my channel than Tag 2, and you can watch it. It's not great matches. It was just me back when I was still sort of developing and fighting games. I'm not saying that like dismissively. I actually liked how I did back then. I played at a level I was comfortable with, and I played people at a level I was comfortable with. Same with Tag 2. So I wasn't like a great player, but I enjoyed where I was, and that's kind of the point. I think you kind of get so lost in wanting to be like the best, right? And every time you get a new game, you feel like, oh, like I have to be so good. But with games like Tekken, I just enjoyed the experience of playing the game. I didn't really care so much about how good I was. It was more, more the fact that I just like this game to begin with, and I was just like content just playing the game. And I think Tekken 7 brought back that feeling. Tekken 7 brought back that feeling of like, you know what, this is just really cool. This is just really fun. And I'll be honest, I've said it before. Like SF5, great, well, not great, good game, right? But the enjoyment is more about the community and learning stuff and fighting people and laughing and getting all these together. But I mean, honestly, you play nothing but SF5 for a long time. You almost forget other fighting games are fun. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's like I go back to KI. I was watching some KI videos the other day. I'm like, damn, this game is fun. Like, I wish I played this game more. I mean, I need to play it again at some point. But I was like, just watching, just remembering how much fun I had playing that game. And Tekken 7 was just fun and just exciting. Like, even like DOA, like all these other fringe games. I know DOA is actually big with its own community, but I say fringe in the sense that it's not huge in the overall FGC. But even these sort of fringe games, like, I'll be honest with you, when I first played DOA 5 back on Xbox 360, real talk, DOA 5, honestly, is the most dynamic, damn near blockbuster experience a fighting game like has been like to date, in my opinion. Like, you play that game, like the way the stages transform and interact, the way you can hit people into different stages which can cause different effects, you can combo into other parts of the stage and keep the combo going. Like, honestly, they called it fighting entertainment. They weren't joking. DOA 5, in my opinion, is the most like dynamic and cinematic fighting game experience within matches. And I don't mean like a story mode, like literally every match can be just really dynamic and exciting. They did a great job with the stages. And I think that's kind of my issue in a way as well with SF5 when you compare it to other fighting games. Just not even from a mechanic standpoint or anything. So many fighting games, every time they release, what makes them so compelling is they always do something to sort of push the envelope of what fighting games are capable of, and what makes them such a formidable force within gaming as a genre, the genre of fighting games, that is. Like, look at a game like Marvel 3, right? The combo system, the visuals, the visual effects, stunning, outstanding, right? You look at obviously DOA 5, it pushed that cinematic angle really hard and was fantastic at it. These amazing transitions, which admittedly even Tag 2, like those state transitions, they're cool, but it's literally just area to area, and it's for like usually a mechanical purpose. Whereas with DOA 5, it can be both mechanical and just visually appealing to both watch and play. It just makes the fights feel much more exciting, right? KI really pushed the boundaries with the musical ultras and how it changes, like sort of like it transforms the stage, and like just the KI music. Like, my fighting game music has always been awesome. In some cases, it's been dynamic. Like Street Fighter obviously had music change when characters are on low health, but with KI, it took it to a whole new level where music actively changes during your fight, and when you tech a grab, or when you go into instinct mode, or when you hit a combo breaker, like, you know what I mean. And then obviously the ultra changes as well. So KI really set the bar for that, and we're seeing Tekken 7 go to a whole new lengths with the slowdowns, the zoom ins, the special effects. Like, just seeing stuff like the rage drives are amazing, and obviously the rages themselves. And the cool thing is, when you do a rage super in Tekken 7, the music just stops and you just hear like a heartbeat. It's so cool, right? So just every time a new fighting game comes out, it does something so interesting, so exciting. It takes the core mechanics that we all know and love, and it just adds this new layer of just interest and excitement that makes both playing it a joy and watching it And anime fighters have always had that amazing angle of having these incredible, often pixel art, but these days 3D, sometimes a bit of mix and both, this awesome pixel art and sometimes 3D animations which show us these incredible like anime in motion type things, Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear, and so on. And you get to see that, and it's just really exciting. That's what makes these games appealing. And the point I'm making is that then you, with a game like SF5, the issue is that game unfortunately does nothing to really push the boundaries of what fighting games do. Like visually, it's okay, and I think some of the character models are actually fantastic. But the way the game is rendered, the way the game looks, the stages, look, the music's good. SF5's music is good, but the stages, just from a aesthetic standpoint, SF5 is one of the more dull fighting games of recent memory, which is a real shame considering how, as I said, how far fighting games have been pushing it for so long, particularly in the 360 generation, and now in this generation they're continuing to do so. MKX, like stages in that are fantastic. The interactables are cool. They went nuts with like the X-rays and the fatalities. I mean, as I'm sure you're aware, and we're even seeing it in Justice 2. We're seeing what they're doing, all that stuff, and you're probably thinking, oh, but that's all just fluff. That's all just flair. Who cares? Blah blah blah. Well, that's just it though. People do get. I don't mean casuals, because there's this very annoying and I think persistent idea that that's a casual thing. Listen, yesterday's casual is tomorrow's pro player, right? You know, every fighting game could be somebody's first, to steal a quote from someone. Like, no, literally, it's like the things that get people into fighting games, or what's going to keep them there, and not just for that game and for games to come. And it's really insidious to even kind of say like, oh well, it's just casuals. Well, first of all, it's elitist. It's dismissive of the people who enjoy games, and it isn't just casuals. People have a casual or base level interest. It's people who have a deep interest in the game, in the lore, in the aesthetic, in the characters, in the mechanics, and all that kind of stuff. It's all part of the experience, and I really don't like how, for as much as I love mechanics and I love footsies and tech and all that kind of stuff, I definitely don't sort of like how it's like fighting games exist in this sort of weird area where it's like, you know, mechanics and versus mode and online, everything else doesn't really matter. And if you care about that, you're a casual. Oh, who needs arcade? Who needs cool stages or good music? Who needs any of that? That's just casual stuff. It's like, okay, well, if that were really true, then we may as well be using stick figures to fight each other. What's the point? You know what I mean? It's like these things matter. You wouldn't be playing your character if you didn't care about them from the aesthetic standpoint. You wouldn't be buying these stupid overpriced costumes if you didn't care about that. You probably do. So the point is, quite simply, that these aesthetics matter, right? And fighting games are still games. They're not exempt from being judged for those reasons. So when a fighting game comes out, I'm not just saying as if when any game comes out, fighting game comes out, and it's lacking certain features or it's not aesthetically pleasing. Like look at KOF. KOF is KOF 14, a feature-full game, but unfortunately, it didn't look great. It's looking better now with the visual update, but it didn't look great for a current gen game. It didn't look great at all. Like it looked bad actually. Like it looked like it's funny. The character models were fine, but the textures weren't great, and everything looked super low res and muddy, and just it didn't. You know what I mean? And that put people off. After KOF 13's amazing sprite work, you get 14, which unfortunately looks very dull, and that's an issue. You see what I mean? Like that matters. Maybe not enough, like to necessarily make the game be doomed, but rather it puts people off from a visual standpoint because that's something that they enjoy. The overall experience is what gets people into these things, and as I said, it keeps them there. And like, let's not forget, like I say, we're not using stick figures fighting each other. What makes these games exciting is that whole element overall, using these characters, these vibrant, diverse characters in these amazing settings, doing these amazing things with all these special effects and so on and so forth. That's what makes the whole experience good. So if you try to divorce that from the mechanics, it makes no sense. So that's why people look for these things. That's why a game like DOA has its appeal. That's why a game like Marvel has its appeal. That's why a game like Tekken has its appeal, right? And Street Fighter has its appeal as well. But I feel like defenders, and I don't mean just sort of the regular defenders, sort of zealots even, the zealots of Street Fighter, the radicals even, if you might say. I thought you weren't going to talk about politics. But anyway, the radicals of SF5, the radical defenders of SF5, they act like, you know, who needs all that boring casual stuff? All you need to do is just play. And it's true, there are a lot of fighting game fans who are just fighting game players and they only play fighting games for the sake of beating people and that's all they care about. They don't actually play games or anything other thing. That's fine, but you have to understand that a lot of fighting game players are actually gamers. They actually like games. They actually care about all the other stuff. And when you look at people who enjoy the other game, they care about that stuff in a deep way. Like that's why they buy the figurines, and that's why they go to the conventions, and that's why they buy the apparel and sometimes dress up as their characters and so on. That's the whole point. You know what I mean? So these games having that matters, and I think that's part and parcel why I said that earlier on that you'd almost forget, like you would almost forget other fighting games are actually really funny and exciting if you only played SF5, which once again, it's an enjoyable game. It's a good game, but it's not a great game, and it didn't really do much to push or further fighting games from a visual or dynamic standpoint, or even mechanical, because the mechanics of SF5 aren't anything new or exciting or innovative. They're good and they're different for the series, but they don't do anything to really push like the boundary. And it's why overall, like I'm still looking for the one to click. Cross Tekken unfortunately is long gone, and we can play it maybe once in a while if we ever get enough people, one, to care, and two, who have the 360 or maybe PS3 with the game data and the DLC and all that stuff if we're lucky. But the game, we put it to rest, okay, and we say farewell in a good way, just like people did to CVS2 back in the day. I love KI, but for me, as much as I enjoy KI, because I really enjoy that game, it's not a game. When you're going to play KI, you're playing KI, if that makes sense. It's not a game where you can ignore its mechanics. You can't ignore breakers. You can't ignore counter breakers. You can't ignore shadow counter, right? And you can't ignore the way people just kind of swing in that game, because a lot of stuff is just safe and a lot of stuff leads to long combos. But then there's the breaker system. That's what I mean. Like when you're playing KI, you're playing KI. You can't play KI like an anime game. You can't play KI like Street Fighter. What I mean by that is you can add those elements of your general game plan to how you're playing the game, but you can't ignore the way the game needs to be played. So while I definitely like the game, it's like I now have to be in the mood for that experience, and I really enjoy the game when I do play it, but I have to be in the mood for that. But I want to find something that is, because unfortunately the way it is with Street Fighter is like that's kind of, like I said, the only sort of game I said in my previous sort of talk. It's the only sort of game where you can just get in there and there's no crazy stuff, there's no bursts or breakers or any of that stuff, and you can just fight and you can just do stuff. SF5 is one of the only fighting games right now where you can do that without the team stuff like KOF or any of those other games, and that's kind of what is the appeal of this game. That it's currently the only fighting where you can just fight and there's no thing to really stop the action, so to speak, which is both the best and worst part about it in all honesty. And with Guilty Gear, I'm definitely enjoying it. I want to play more, and Rev 2 is coming out, and I definitely can't wait for that. But with Tekken, that's what I'm definitely looking forward to, because I've always played Tekken a decent amount, and I always enjoy Tekken, like overall, both online, offline, whatever. I've always just enjoyed playing it. I started with 3D fighters. I moved on to anime. It's only in recent years that I focus purely on just 2D quote unquote fighters. So I want to go back to my roots. I want to play more Tekken. I really want to get into it. I really want to get good at it. And it looks like such a fun game. Like Tekken Tag 2 was a game I wanted for a long time. Super fun. And I got it. I played a ton of it, especially offline. I played a decent amount of online too, but I didn't play it nearly as much as I probably should have. Right, I played a great amount of Tekken 6. I really liked that game. So with 7, I really can't wait to get it and get into it. It's just June is such a long time though. June 2nd, the day before my birthday, so you know. And it's why I also want to discuss, when I say moving forward, what I also sort of mean is what would you like me to do, if that makes sense? Like I definitely want to focus on, say, Guilty Gear and maybe Tekken when that eventually comes out, but truthfully I have several things to ask, and the first being, what would you like me to do, if that makes sense? Like I definitely want to focus on, say, Guilty Gear and maybe Tekken when that eventually comes out, but truthfully I have several things to ask, and the first being, well, so obviously I'm still going to be playing SF5. Oop, that was the doorbell. Yeah, I'm still gonna be playing SF5. I'm still gonna be focusing on playing Jury and getting better, making more tech, and also thanks to everybody who watched my recent tech compilation video. I was really happy to make that. I thought it deserved to be made, and I thought now was the perfect time. So thanks for watching that if you did. Okay, so this is where I move on to sort of the second half of my discussion. And hold on to your seat for this one, trust me. Do you think I should drop Jury? And you're like probably like, what are you talking about? But you're the Jury player and all the tech videos and don't give up Justice, like all that. I'm not saying that's what my subs sound like. I'm just saying that in general. Like overall, what I mean is quite simply that now that there's more and more events in London, right? Obviously, I did Bunker Brawl, and there's one event I'm going to tomorrow. Actually, it's going to be the first Winner Stays On event, and I think that's going to be pretty cool. So that means there's going to be more offline events for me to go to, and obviously I'm going to play more online and stuff. And I like Jury. Obviously, that's never going to change. She's the reason I play SF5. You all know that. But looking forward, right, for SF5 at least, should I don't mean drop her, but should I begin to focus on someone else? Because I've played nothing but Jury from the very beginning. But I did say to myself early on, and this was especially during my grind to gold rank, I was like, there may come a time, maybe not right this second, but I'm starting to feel it. There may come a time when I'm gonna have to sit down and think to myself, is what's holding me back the character or me? Because I can definitely get better. Still have a long road ahead of me, and I think I'm good enough as it is. I know that seems big-headed, but listen, I've fought my fair share. I've done my fair share. I've made the videos. I've fought the fights online. I've fought the fights in real life. I'm not a top player. I'm not going to any big tournaments. I'm not winning evil. But the point is, I'm doing my part, and I think I've done well for a character that is considered quote-unquote low tier. But I have to ask myself, in the long run, especially with the way SF5 meta may or may not change, do I want to pick up another character that is, let's be honest, better? And if so, who? Listen, I'll play Druid to the end of time. I will. But if I want to actually start winning, I'm not going to say, oh, pick a top tier. Here's the thing. I've said this before. I've picked top tiers in every other fighting game I play. It's only SF5 where I just happen to, fall in love with the quote-unquote low tier character. So this is actually the outlier for me, funnily enough. So I have to ask myself reasonably, do I pick up a top tier? A part of me is hoping that maybe one of SF5's Season 2's DLC characters. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's going to be Helen, because Helen is more or less confirmed as well. Okay, no, it's a rumor, but let's be honest, it's probably going to be her. I don't know if it's going to be Helen or Satsuki, the doll sword chick, or who knows? Who knows who it is? But somebody. I'm hoping maybe one of the Season 2 characters interests me. But beyond that, I'm just going to still play Jury, definitely. But here, let's be real. I'm not gonna pick up Balrog Urian. Like, I'm indifferent to Balrog. I actually like Urian, despite how stupid he is. I actually like him, but I wouldn't play either of them. Never had an interest in playing Cammy, especially in this game, unfortunately. I liked her for fun in SF4, but I have no interest in playing her in 5. And Laura, yeah, no way. So don't worry, I'm not picking any of them. But I mean, the thing is, it's just a matter of just overall perspective. If it was season 1, maybe I could have played Ryu, right? Because I don't quite like how Ryu turned out. I've already explained this, but probably could have played him. Maybe played John. I don't know. Don't care too much for the charging. I mean, it's funny. I have this conversation with myself, and then I end up going full circle back to, yeah, I'll just play Jerry because, as I said, she's the only character who really makes sense to me. Because as tempting as it is to pick a top tier, like I actually don't have a top tier that I particularly care about enough to actually play them. So that's why I'm with Jury, for better or worse. There isn't really a character off the top of my head who I could be all like, I can play this character on top. Honestly, I wanted to play more Mika. I really wanted to play more Mika. And I want to play more Mika now, actually. But you know what? Maybe I will play some more Mika. But it's like, she's harder now. She lost her stupid stuff. But here's the thing. This might actually be my opportunity, because I never liked the 50-50 mix on Mika. I always liked the solid confirms and command grab Mika, but that's not really the Mika it was. Going for command grabs was a risk, and people didn't like the solid confirms because you didn't need them. You just did clap, throw him to the wall, mix him up 50-50 Nadeshiko. Like that was pretty much how Mika is. But how she is now fits more to my style. But funnily enough, now she's lower tier, quote unquote. So, you know, I just can't seem to pick top tiers in this game. What can I say? I don't know. But I leave that question to you. Do you guys want to see me pick up anyone else? Or perhaps forget, like, let's say dropping anybody or not playing Jury as much. Is there any other character in the game currently do you think that fits my style and you'd probably want to see me play? You know, I mean, Karen. I mean, I kind of skipped over saying I want to play more Mika, but what about Karen? Well, that's the thing about Karen. It's like a crush. It's like having a crush on someone, but them not really being right for you, if that makes sense. You liked who they are and you like being with them, but you realize they're not the sort of person you want to stay with. And with Karen, that was exactly what happened, where I just really like the character. I still like the character, but she just doesn't click with me in a way that want to make me keep playing her. And even though she's really good, like offensively good, actually, I wouldn't say she's top tier, but she's really good. She's not a character I can really click with. But out of every other character in the game, she's the only other character I could reasonably play. So I might put some time. So let's say, with setting aside Jury and Karen, who else in the game do you think would fit me, if that makes sense? And don't you dare say Nikali, Jesus Christ. But so beyond that, as I said, I'm looking forward to Tekken 7. Can't wait for that game. And honestly, I might play more, but for me, it's also logistics. As I already mentioned, as I'm sure you're aware, other fighting games on my channel don't get nearly as much. And with the amount of SF5 content I put out, I've more or less kind of cemented myself as another SF5 uploader. In this case, Jury, and that's why people come to see my videos. So I will still do Jury stuff. Obviously, that's never going to stop. It might, depending. But I want to upload Guilty Gear. I haven't uploaded KI in a while, and I might do more of that. I want to upload Guilty Gear. I want to upload KI, but they don't really do that much. They don't do that well. Like, here's the thing. You can look at some of the KI videos. They have like 70 views. One of them has over 200. I don't know how that happened. That was fantastic. That was one of the best sets I ever had. That was against XRX Leader. He was a Shago, as I can say Shago, Shadow Jago player, who actually knew about my YouTube, so that was cool. So, that was one of the best videos. But you compare, and I'm not even talking about my Jury tech videos or combo videos, because those appear on Reddit, and eventually, sure, you can invent hubs, so of course that's why they're in the thousands. But even just my regular SF5 matches just do better on average compared to most of my other fighting game videos. You look at a Guilty Gear video, a KI video, or a BB video, it has like 10 to 15 views, and that's cool. I'm okay with that. You look at SF5 has like 40 to 50, like, yeah, okay, right? Like the difference is huge. Like you can't pretend that's not a huge difference. And these days, with my more subs and my increasing popularity, which I'm not letting get to my head, don't you worry about that. I upload an SF5 video, it's like 70 or 100 views within the week, and it's like, okay, I'm glad people are watching this. This is a reason to keep going. For as much as I just like the game. And I just wonder what's the reception going to be for Tekken 7. I probably won't upload Injustice. Depends on how much I like that game. I'm still holding out hope they put Arkham Knight in the game, because I don't know if Nightwing's going to be in, because I like Nightwing in original Injustice. Never got to play the game seriously, but I played Nightwing and Deathstroke, so don't know if Nightwing's going to be in. I hope Arkham Knight is. I know he's from the Rocksteady Arkham games, but I'm sure they can pull some strings for that. If Arkham Knight is in the game, and spoilers, so come back in 20 seconds, Arkham Knight is Red Hood, so they may as well just put Red Hood in the game and give an Arkham Knight skin, and I'm in there. Because to be honest, I like Red Hood anyway, so it's a win-win. Anyway, so I don't know if people are watching Justice. I feel like Tekken 7 overall has a great fan base, but I don't know if my channel will necessarily be watched for Tekken 7. That's always a tricky thing when you upload content that isn't your main content. When I became big for Cross Tekken, people didn't watch my other stuff as much, like my Let's Plays and my FPS videos and so on, as in first-person shooter videos. And now that I upload SF5, people don't watch my other stuff, like my FF15 videos. Yeah, I was gonna say 50. My FF15 videos and my Guilty Gear stuff, which did all right. So I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's not all about views. The point is, it's all about interest. I want to see if people are interested in seeing this stuff, because while I'd be perfectly content, and I usually do, to just upload whatever I want, regardless of how many views it gets, it's like I have to know the interest is there, because it takes time. And remember, I'm not getting paid for this stuff. There's no ads. I don't have a sponsorship. There's nobody on my Patreon. It's like I'm doing this just for the enjoyment of it. I said you know what, I'll probably never earn money for this. I just want to keep doing it for fun as I always have. So if the interest is there for Tekken 7, you bet I'm gonna upload more of that. Definitely, because I really want to get into that game, and I really hope it's gonna be awesome. So if I can get into it, I will, right? And if people have interest in watching it, I will. And I'll continue to play SF5, of course. I'll go to events, and I'll probably play online once in a while. But I think maybe I'm trying to tone down the randoms a bit. Playing randoms has gotten tiring, so playing people I know or playing people via requests, that's fine. Uh, but also, please tell me if you want to see someone other than Jury. But beyond that, that's all I have to talk about. So 2017 is going to be really cool. More SF5 content. But please, I hope they make the game better. I really hope they make the game better just overall. And Season 2 should be interesting. Uh, Want to play Tekken 7. Gonna play more Guilds a year. You're going to see more content from probably all these games. Maybe Injustice 2 as well. Who knows? This has been JST. Thanks for listening.